Force post. All right, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the start of our Division II Joint Basketball Championship here at UPMC Cooper Fieldhouse of Pittsburgh. I'm Sean Fag. I'll be one of your media coordinators here this week. We're joined by four coaches that'll be competing here. Craig Carey from IUP, Bernadette Lakaitis.
Yep.
Good guess. Taylor Wagner from Colorado Basin, and Basil Pearson from Minnesota Duluth. I'll get the ball rolling with questions here, but after that, I invite you all to please pass some questions along to coaches as we get ready for the championships. But coaches, this is kind of a general one, a catch-all, but tell us what you learned about your teams in the lead up to reaching the Elite Eight here this week. Whoever would like to take this one first.
I'll take it. I learned that our players have a ton of resiliency. Just, from last year to this year, understanding what we needed to do to get to the regional tournament like we did and to win it, be one of the first teams to do it in our conference and obviously first time in program history. That was a goal of ours, and just the resiliency that we did all the way through the year. So to get here, we're super excited to represent the East region, and we can't wait to get started.
Coach Wett.
Yes. You're looking at, yeah. Well, we're happy to be here. One of the things I learned too is just the toughness that we had, going down and going against the Lone Star Conference and in that regional, and that last game having to go against Texas Women's. They were a great team, and we showed a lot of toughness and grit in that last game to hold on to get here.
Coach Pearson, how about you next?
Honestly, I think what you saw throughout the course of our season is that we showed glimpses of greatness. And there were a few games where we put it together for 40 minutes and we just could not stay super consistent. We were consistent enough, but not to what we thought we were capable of. And in the tournament, you really saw that come through. So I was proud to see us put it together for a stretch of games.
Coach Garrett.
Yeah, just similar to what they're saying, a lot of resilience. Our last two games were, track meets felt like. So, it was really challenging mentally and physically. We dealt with some injuries and some sickness, as I'm sure everyone did this time of year. But they battled really, really hard, and we got down in games, got up big in games, and, this time of the year, you're just trying to be the last one standing in some of those matchups, and, we were able to do that.
Let's open it up to any questions. Coach Carey, you have a lot of teams that are traveling a long way or right up the road. How do you see that as an advantage to you guys, and how do you feel that, how do you hope that we'll have a huge contingent here for IDP and understand?
Yeah, being able to travel, is always an advantage. Some familiarity with, fans traveling, everything like that. We actually have a really diverse team, so not a lot of people from the area, but, the ones that we do, I'm sure they're going to bring a lot of fans out.
For all you, not giving away the game plan or anything, but to have success this week, what do you have to do well? Keach, coach, we've been saying something to that.
Yeah, I think, for any team, everyone's got here for a reason, and you can't change too much about yourself. All 8 teams are really, really good. They're the best in the country. So, it's all about styles, and, no one's going to change their style no matter the matchup. So it's just going to be who's healthy, who's playing well, who's in rhythm. That's what it comes down to this time of the year.
Yeah, and I'll echo that. I think that's some of the biggest parts of coming to, this great experience for these players, just taking it all in, enjoying the journey as it comes. We talk about that, so there's not going to be any different. It's the same, it's other court, it's all that Hoosier stuff, the same, all those things, but I think for our girls is just, just seizing the moment, just enjoying it with each other, continuing to enjoy all those little special times that they're going to have with each other. That's what's really most important here. And we're excited to do it with our Holy Family that's going to be coming and, representing in the stands as well. So we couldn't be more happy to do it with them, by our side.
I just think we got to keep our identity that we've had all year long, and that's got us through close games and pretty much the whole season. And if we can keep that, and I think our girls have meshed really well together, and they need to continue to do that tomorrow.
Can I just say, repeat everything that
I'll let you start the next time.
Oh, good. I mean, all the same things. We need to stay really focused and be ready to compete like crazy on both ends of the floor to have success.
Was there a plan, this for everybody, was there a point this season, whether it's middle of the season, towards the end, conference settlement, that you thought, wow, we can really make this run and get to Pittsburgh and compete for a championship? So I'll just start. I'll let you go, Ruth.
I am so simple-minded. I really do operate one day at a time. And so I think there were days where I'm like, okay, we could be really good, but I don't necessarily look that much further than that. So I never really thought about it, to be honest. I usually don't.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we take one day at a time. That's what we talked about. Just win the day. And that's all we wanted to do. We really never mentioned the word championship during the season. We felt like if we could win the day and all the little details would turn into the big details. And that's kind of where I feel like we were. I do know there was one turning point in the season where I kind of felt like, okay, this team wants to be good. And, it was in one of our practices and it just clicked for them. And ever since that point, they've been really focused. And we always say our strength is the girls on our team. And that's what it's shown.
Yeah, and I'll say that, we, from last year, everybody has a story up here. We actually have very similar stories. But it's kind of special to watch the girls go from the first team meeting, knowing that, our motto this year is why not us, just having that opportunity, knowing that we had a great taste of what it's like to be in the regional championship last year, coming up short to some really great teams out there, but then having the chance to do it again this year. For us, we had a really, really interesting story of, going undefeated in the season, unfortunately not getting the championship at the end. That made us extra hungry. So going into the regional, I think those were some of the turning points. I think that next practice, coming in, watching those girls, just knowing what they wanted, they still had goals to get, and they went and just seized it all. So super excited to see, what history we can continue to make.
Yeah, just like she said, very similar stories. Lost in the regional final last year and returned some key pieces. Brought in, I think it was 6 new players, so a little bit of a roster turnover, but there was times where you're like, man, we're really good, and then there's times you're like, man, we're bad, and you just kind of, you just try to stay as steady as possible for the players, and they really rebounded off each other. We lost 2 games in a week, even though we only lost 3 all year, and that's kind of a turning point where you could fold it in, be like, you know what, maybe we're not as good, or we can kind of rebound from that, and we were able to rally the troops a little bit and then go on a run here at the end.
Let me throw this one out for all of you as well. So you've all mentioned resilience. You've all mentioned that toughness. You're talking about culture items with your team, cultural attributes. Where have those attributes come from? Where have you seen those develop in your athletes over the course of maybe this season, maybe over the course of several seasons? How have you seen that culture at your program develop those athletes in that way?
I'm going to start. Do you want me to start? Yeah. Picking on me though. So I've been really impressed with my seniors this year. We struggled last year, and each of them kind of had a journey that they needed to go on to become the best versions of themselves, and they have been phenomenal leaders for our program. Their focus, the way that they're guiding everybody in our program is amazing. But that progress from last year to this year is highly attributed to their efforts.
Love your eye. Oh, am I up next? Okay. I mean, I just kind of feel like, I just kind of feel like we want to recruit great kids, high character kids. And so when they come in, they have some of those attributes that we really want. And it's kind of shown. The one thing that I look back on with this team is I look at all their parents. Their parents are so great. They come from great families, and they're just hardworking. And I really attribute it to the parents of raising good young ladies, and that's been able to be easy for us as a coaching staff to coach them up.
Yeah, and I'll go, I mean, definitely seniors, stuff like, I think that's such a huge piece of our puzzle as well. But we definitely, it's in our name, the family culture that we've developed here, starting from our alumni to the Holy Family community, just really supporting us all year long. So that family culture is really what we kind of, that trust, respect, all that stuff that we really build our culture on is super important. But on top of it, that we over me mentality. I mean, these girls have just really bought into that. I mean, you probably look at our stat sheet, or you look and say it's always someone else's day. That's kind of been our philosophy throughout the year. It could be anybody's day, anytime. So I really love that our girls buy into that. It just makes us, who we are and, how that we be able to come this far.
Yeah, a lot of what they've been saying. This is really the first year I've had players with multiple years, in the program. We've done a lot of 1 year, 2 year transfers since I took the job. So this has really been the first year where the culture has really shown it, itself in a positive way. And we just try to be, the hardest workers in the gym at all times. And, when you do that, good things are going to happen, on the floor. And, once you get into the classroom, once you go into the real world, the hardest workers are always going to get rewarded. So that's kind of what we've been trying to, instill into the players.
Coach Carey, Friday, was that the play that you called? And what did you say to the team before?
Well, I was out of timeouts, so we called like several plays ahead of time what we were going to do because we didn't have any more timeouts left. It's not necessarily a play, it's just something that we work on every day. So I think just sometimes when you're scared, muscle memory takes over, and I think muscle memory just kind of took over, and they knew where each other were going to be. But yeah, we work on that a lot, but I'd be lying if I said I drew that up. 10 minutes before, because there was a review. There was 2 timeouts that, prior to that I ran out, and, that's why I like to try to save my timeouts because, situations like that are going to happen, but sometimes you just got to get out of the way and let the players be players.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Because as you were just cutting out that's last week, how did you get your team to lock back in this week at practice? And really, what was the message going into this Elite Eight?
And I can start. I think you just try to stay as consistent in what you've been doing, as you can. I know everyone's goal wasn't just to make it here. Everyone wants to try to win a national championship. So you got to, take the rest of that day, maybe the next day, and live in the moment, and then you got to move. You got to move forward. Like I said, everyone's got bigger goals than what they've achieved, even though there's only 8 teams left, and everyone would love to be here. Everyone that is here wants to keep playing, wants to keep moving forward. So you just try to keep it as consistent, as you can. Make it, this is just another game.
Yeah, I mean, we did the same. I think it's important for them to get that rest that they need, to kind of build themselves back up and catch up on schoolwork. I mean, a lot of, different labs and different things going on. So we kept it very get back to reality of just yes, enjoy the moment, enjoy that day, but then it's back to work, get back to that schoolwork that you've been doing, get back to, the regular practice that we've been having. But, we would be lying if we had, like I said, we had that why not us mentality, knowing that it's a great opportunity for us. And that's all we want is an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of easy that our seniors take over. Mm-hmm. They've really led our team all year long, and getting back, we were excited to practice and, start to prepare for this week. And so, they really do a great job of policing each other and holding each other accountable.
Same thing for Duluth. We just rested and then got back to work, got back to the fun stuff, and got on the court again.
Any more questions for the coaches? Second time back to the Elite Eight. How's that feel taking another breakthrough to full Bulldogs back here?
Oh, God. I mean, this is just so fun. We talk about playoffs as just every day is a bonus day. So the longer that you get to play, the more fun that we have together. So I'm really excited that our senior class gets to do this, and it's a really fun experience for our younger players to kind of see how it's done and experience it, so they can hopefully get back here in the future.
Coaches, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations on advancing this far, and we look forward to a great day of basketball tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look, guys.
And Sid,
Right, circus act.